Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so happy that you've joined us. I'm Nature Book Week Ambassador Jen Martin, and I'm here with the Wilderness Society today to announce the 2023 Karajia and Environment Awards for Children's Literature. So it's a very exciting day. And I'm so pleased to welcome one of our fabulous judges this year, Leanne Mulgo Watson, to begin with an acknowledgement of country. Thank you, Leanne.
Nyagiara, Leanne Watson Redpath. I'm really happy today to do the acknowledgement for the Karajia and Nature Awards for 2023. I would like to just pay my respects to all Aboriginal people and countries that we're all coming from today, and to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I'd like to just say Yana Mude Nura Ji Nangamai, which is walk softly on the country. Our dreaming is forever. Didgerigura and Yanu.
Thank you, Leanne. That's a really beautiful way to start. And I'm really thrilled to be here with you today to announce the shortlist for this year's awards. Now, books and nature are two of my very favourite things in the world. So when you put them together, I pretty much couldn't be happier. And there are so many children's books about nature that I absolutely love, many that I've loved reading with my own children over the years. But of course, I never need an excuse of having children around to read children's books. And I find it incredibly hard, pretty much impossible, to single out one book that I love. So I'm not going to even try. But to vote, for those of you joining us, I would love you to put a comment in the chat. And maybe you could tell us what your favourite children's book about nature is, or maybe the book that you think's had the most impact on you or your children, or has led to the best discussions and conversations in your family. Please add your comments in. And while you're thinking about those favourite books, I really have to say that I think stories about nature are more important than ever right now, because there's a lot of big things going on in the world. If we think about biodiversity and biodiversity extinction and the climate crisis, and books can really help us grapple with, I think, some of these big topics. And of course, that's part of why the Wilderness Society has been celebrating excellence in children's literature since 1994, with the Environment Award for Children's Literature, and now also the Karajia Award for Children's Literature, which celebrates and honours this continent's First Nations authors and illustrators, and the beautiful way they share stories which explore land, community, culture, and language. So I have the great pleasure today of introducing our judging panel to you for this year's Karajia and Environment Awards for Children's Literature. So you just met and heard from Leanne. Leanne Mulgo Watson is a Darug woman known in the Aboriginal community as Mulgo, meaning black swan. Leanne has spent her life living, promoting and protecting Darug culture, people and places. She started painting at a very young age, and these days is a hugely accomplished artist, illustrator and writer. And her beautiful book, Kui Mitigar, won the Prime Minister's Children's Literature Award in 2020. And she illustrated the winning book in the 2022 Karajia and Environment Awards for Children's Literature, Sharing. Welcome, Leanne.
Hello.
We're so pleased that you're able to be a judge this year. And our next judge, who I'm really pleased to welcome to join me, is Alex Paps. And I'm sure Alex will be familiar to many of you. He's an actor, a writer, and an avid nature photographer, which I didn't know. He starred in the SBS series The Hunting in 2019 and released an album of children's music called Let's Put the Beat in Our Feet. Awesome name. Alex has written for both Home and Away and Play School, and of course is likely to be familiar to many of you because he's been a much loved and regular presenter on ABC TV's Play School since 2005. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Jen. It's a real pleasure to be here. Lovely to meet you.
Well, I am very excited because not only, of course, Alex and Leanne have you made time to join me today to announce the shortlist, which is a pretty exciting event, But of course, you've managed to make time in your incredibly busy lives to be judges for this year's awards. So tell me, what are you most looking forward to? How cool is it to be a judge?
Well, look, I like you, a lover of nature, and was fortunate enough to grow up somewhere very beautiful. I'm from the Dandenong Ranges in Victoria, and was lucky also to have family who fostered interest and respect and wonder for nature. So to be part of something that's about celebrating nature and, Leanne, if you permit me to borrow from your beautiful acknowledgement of country, the notion of respect for nature and walking gently upon country, uh, and also to borrow from you, Jen, the notion of building hope and allowing kids to grapple with some of the very big things that are happening in the ecology at the moment. So it's a privilege to be able to look at these works and work that people have, authors and illustrators have put their hearts into.
Absolutely. And I can certainly attest to the beauty of the Dandenong Ranges. I recently had the pleasure of walking 100 kilometres through the Dandenongs and was constantly struck by its beauty. So thank you, Alex. And Leanne, tell us, what are you looking forward to about being a judge this year?
I feel really honoured to be a judge for such an amazing award. As you all know, I absolutely love illustrating and writing books, and I love my culture and country. So I think it's really important that we can pass on our knowledge to all the children and adults as well with books. I'm actually really excited. I've been reading through the books and having a look, and I just love education all around culture and country. So I'm pretty honoured to be part of this.
Fantastic. And I can definitely relate. I had the great privilege of being a judge a few years ago. And the day that the box arrived full of all of these beautiful books, I just felt like it was kind of double Christmas, sitting there and looking at all the books. It was pretty special. So
Yeah.
I I can relate. So, Alex, joining you on the Environment Award for Children's Literature Judging Panel is Sammy Bailey, who is the 2022 winner in the non-fiction category for these awards, as well as Adam Duncan, who is an author and early childhood educator. And we'll get to meet them via video shortly. And then, Leanne, joining you on the judging panel for the Karajia Award for Children's Literature is Adam Goods, who is the co-winner of the Karajia Award last year, as well as Hunter Page Lashard, who is an actor, a storyteller, and also a play school presenter. So we have very, very impressive and diverse panels this year, which I just think is wonderful. Now, as I just alluded to, unfortunately, not all of our judges are able to be here with us in person today, but we do have the wonderful capacity to share some videos with you. And to get the ball rolling in announcing our shortlist, Hunter has kindly recorded a video for us to announce part of the Karajia Award for Children's Literature shortlist. So over to Hunter.
Hello, I'm Hunter Page Lashard. I am a writer, an actor, and a director, and one of the judges for the 2023 Karajia Children's Literacy Awards. I'm super excited to be a part of this because, I've worked with Play School and I have two daughters of my own, so being able to share these books with them and read it to them every night has been very awesome and fun. And also being able to share some cultural knowledge to my children has been super amazing. So I've been very excited about that because to me the importance of storytelling is nurturing imagination and passing down knowledge to kids in a way that they can digest it. And children's storytelling, especially, is key for that. Having all these different clans and all these different traditional stories and cultures from all over the country being shared within these books have been such a blessing to me personally because of my kids. And they've never experienced any of these stories before or knew any of this this stuff. So it was an eye opener for them, and they thoroughly enjoyed it, especially with the illustrations and the language. Storytelling has been such a key part of our culture for thousands of years, and for the human race, especially, in all other cultures, storytelling has been with us for centuries. And it fuels our imagination, and it empowers our knowledge, and gives us more strength to seize the day and create more. So the shortlisted books this year are Nini Yabini by Cheryl Kikitaka, illustrated by Tyrone Waigana, The Dungary Brothers and the Caring Song of the Whale by Auntie Shay Smith and Yandara, Our Dreaming by Curly Saunders, illustrated by Dub Leffer, and Come Together by Isaiah Firebrace, illustrated by Jaylene Biamawe. Thank you for having me. Good luck to everyone, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much to Hunter for recording that video for us. And I'm itching, I've got itchy feet to go out and get copies of these books for myself to start reading. But Leanne, now you have the exciting job of announcing the rest of the Karajia shortlist for us, please.
Okay, the next one is Looking After Country with Fire by Victor Stevenson, illustrated by Sandra Stevenson. The next one is Mimi Maral, Mother Earth by Melissa Greenwood. Next one is We Are Australians by Duncan Smith and Nicole Goodwin, illustrated by Jandamara Cad. Next one is Open Your Heart to Country by Jasmine Seymour. And then we have The Heartbeat of the Land by Kathy Freeman and Coral Vass, illustrated by Tanya Harricks. Amazing books. Well done,
Yeah,
everybody.
thank you. Thank you, Leanne. Absolutely. I just think we need to have a big congratulations to all of these authors and illustrators and publishers who've been shortlisted, because it's no small feat to be shortlisted in the first place and actually be part of this amazing, being judged by you and your fellow judges. So Leanne, tell me, as somebody who's been involved with many prize-winning books, both writing and illustrating, when you see those books, do you just feel this amazing sense of pride that there are so many beautiful books out there for us all to read and immerse ourselves in?
Yeah, I do feel a really immense sense of pride when I see all Indigenous people from everywhere telling our stories and doing such beautiful illustrations. I've watched my family, my mum and her mother, where culture wasn't something that was talked about and showcased in the way that it is today. So to me, it's just amazing that we have these beautiful stories out there and that we're getting recognition of all of these amazing books for this year's shortlist. I can't believe how wonderful they are and how wonderful our stories are that are getting out there like this. So I do feel very proud that our culture is being celebrated in the way that it is today.
Oh, absolutely. And Alex, you and I aren't too different in age. Would your reflection be the same as mine, that when we were kids, there just weren't these beautiful books around representing and sharing Indigenous culture in the same way? And it makes me sad that we didn't have that opportunity, but also thrilled that things have changed.
Yeah, I think it's a very different time. Thankfully, that we're now embracing Indigenous culture and embracing the learning that's come from 60,000 plus years of our First Nations people looking after country. And yes, like you, I lament the fact that when I was growing up, other than the awareness that was brought to me about Indigenous culture from my grandmother, who was not Indigenous, by the way, but was interested and passionate about it, there was nothing. I think maybe there was a little golden book that was loosely themed, had loose sort of Indigenous themes, but I think the kids of this generation are very fortunate to be able to listen to these stories, read these stories, and learn about their place within nature, humankind's place within nature, to wonder at it, and also how we care for it, how we hold it close to our hearts.
Because I guess that's the thing, isn't it? It isn't just the awareness, it's taking the next step, that these stories, because they're so beautifully written and illustrated, actually then empower us to think, well, this is something that I want to contribute to. I want to make a difference to what this planet's going to look like in the future. And I guess that's the power of wonderful storytelling.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, as Hunter has said, storytelling is such an ingrained part of the human experience. It has the power to inspire us, to reassure us, and it's wonderful that really we're finally recognising the value of the Indigenous people's custodianship for over thousands and thousands of years of country. It's good that we're finally listening.
Leanne, you must feel like it's been a very long time coming.
Yes, very much so. I watched my mother doing a lot of education and revitalising our language and things like that. That was very, like back when she started, was very difficult. And then to be able to have books out there available to everybody that share our language is a really big thing for me. It's actually quite an emotional thing for a lot of Aboriginal people who have had their languages not gone but quietened for a while, and now they're just coming to life again. And I think that books are such a great way to do this. I just can't believe how much we can actually put into books these days compared to before. So I'm very excited about it, and I actually really love all books that have anything to do with culture, because I know growing up we used to look for books that would be like this, and they're just like we were saying before, weren't any. And now we seem to have so many amazing books that we can pass on to our children. I've got grandchildren now that I pass on all of the books to them with all the language, and they just absolutely love it. And it's a great way for them to learn. And they have
Absolutely.
Proud, yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I think we should just say congratulations and well done again to all of the writers and illustrators who've been honoured by being invited onto this shortlist, because it's no small undertaking to write a book, let's be honest. You can feel as passionate as you like about sharing the material, but it's a lot of work to write a book. So congratulations to everyone, and I absolutely can't wait to read them all. My kids are a little bit older now, but as I said, it never stops me buying children's books. I still often buy children's books. So if anyone is feeling the same way, I'm really happy to let you know that Glee Books very generously is partnering with the Wilderness Society. So if you purchase any of the books that have been shortlisted for the Karajia or the Environment Award for Children's Literature, if you purchase them from Glee Books, they're going to donate 10% of sales back to the Wilderness Society, which I think is a huge win-win for books and for literature and nature. So please have a look at the link in the comments, because if you are thinking of buying the books, that's a really great way to do it. So we do need to move on because we have more books still to announce. So it is time to move on to the Environment Award for Children's Literature shortlist. And we are going to begin with a video from one of our judges, Sammy Bailey, to announce the non-fiction category. Take it away, Sammy.
Hi everyone, my name is Sammy Bailey and I'm one of this year's judges for the Environmental Award for Children's Literature. Now I'm thrilled to be included as one of this year's judges because last year I was awarded as the winner of my very own category. It was very, very exciting with this book here, The Illustrated Encyclopedia of Peculiar Pairs in Nature. Now this book celebrates all things about relationships in nature, not just the pretty and sweet and kind ones that we might hear about often, like this beautiful sea turtle and the yellow tang fish, but also the parasitic relationships out there in nature, like the sea cucumber and the pinhead pearlfish that likes to hide and live inside of its bottom. I had a blast making this book, not just the research and the writing and then of course painting all of these beautiful animals, but I loved being able to share their stories with kids outside and in the real world after this book was actually published. So I would go around to schools, and I still am doing that, going around and visiting these kids and sharing these amazing and interesting stories and being able to enlighten them on the weird and wonderful parts of nature that you might not get to hear about all the time. Now, I've been a bit busy drawing and painting away for my new book that comes out later this year, but not busy enough because I've been reading and going through this wonderful shortlist for this year's competition, and I'm about to read them out. Are you ready? And the shortlisted books for the non-fiction category are We Are Australians, written by Duncan Smith and Nicole Godwin and illustrated by Jundamara Cad. The ABC Kids Guide to Loving the Planet, written by Jacqueline Krupe and illustrated by Cheryl Orsini. On the Trail of the Plains Wanderer, a Precious Australian Bird, written by Rowan Cleave and illustrated by Julian Tay. Australia's Endangered Bush Creatures, written and illustrated by Mike Mollard.
What an amazing selection of books, and I can certainly attest to the fact that Sammy's winning book last year was just incredible. You could spend many, many hours enjoying that book, and I certainly have. But now, Alex, you have the great joy of announcing the fiction category for the Environment Award for Children's Literature. So take it away, Alex.
So the shortlist for the Environment Fiction Awards, first of all, Sonny the Shark by Remy Lai. And next is Tiana, Through My Eyes, Australian Disaster Zones by Julie Hunt and Terry Whitebeach. And then Barani by Michelle Katarusman. And finally, Dear Greta by Yvette Peshoglian. Congratulations to all those shortlisted authors.
So, Alex, I have to ask, have you started reading any of them? Have you got any early intel to share?
Have. And it's an overwhelming task because the standard of work is so sensational, and the richness of the work is amazing. So I'm thrilled to be a judge, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough.
And it seems like there's a really great diversity this year, some really very different topics and approaches to fiction, which I absolutely love. Were you kind of surprised by the variety? Were you pleasantly surprised? Although in some ways it makes it harder to judge.
Pleasantly surprised, but also it occurred to me that it's going to be tough to judge. And like you getting that box of books and going, it was like, Christmas all over again. But then it dawns on you, of course, that you have to, digest all this work and unfortunately come to some decisions about, which ones should be recognised above the others, which is tough.
Yeah, and we should say for everyone who's listening, it's a really rigorous judging process. There's a lot of things to consider, a lot of criteria. There's scores, there's comments. This isn't something that's taken lightly. So it's both a joy, but also, it's something that you feel very aware of the honour of being able to make those decisions. So I wish you luck, Alex.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It's now time to move on to our final category in the Environment Award for Children's Literature. It's time for us to hear the shortlist for the picture fiction books. And we're really fortunate to have a video that Adam Duncan, who is an early childhood educator, has recorded for us to announce that list.
Weeaboo everyone, I'm Adam Duncan, a passionate early childhood teacher, children's author and visual artist. It's my great pleasure to join you as part of this year's panel of judges. In my role as an early childhood teacher, I have the privilege of guiding young minds during the most formative years. I believe this stage of life holds incredible potential, where seeds of knowledge and curiosity are sown. I strive to create a nurturing environment where children can explore, question and discover the world around them. One of the greatest joys I find as an author is the opportunity to ignite a passion for the environment and our natural world. I firmly believe that stories hold the key to fostering a deep connection with nature, sparking curiosity, and nurturing a sense of responsibility to protect our precious planet. When the children immerse themselves in stories that celebrate the beauty of nature, they become more aware of the wonders that surround them. Through the pages of a book, they embark on adventures with characters who champion environmental causes, encouraging the young readers to do the same. Stories provide a bridge connecting children to the plight of endangered animals, the significance of biodiversity, and the importance of sustainable practices. Stories, whether written or visual, have the extraordinary power to awaken empathy, kindle curiosity, and spark a lifelong passion for the environment. They encourage children to become active participants in protecting our planet, to be guardians of nature's wonders. Through stories, we can sow the seeds of environmental stewardship and inspire a generation that champions sustainability. So let us continue to share stories that immerse children in thought, ignite their passion for the environment, and cultivate a deep love for the natural world. Through education, storytelling, and art, we can empower the next generation to embrace their roles as caretakers of our planet and create a future where harmony between humanity and nature thrives. Here are the nominees for the category of picture fiction. Say No to Plastic, written by Ned and Shane Heaton and illustrated by Tamsin Barber. Number 43, written and illustrated by Jess McKeechan. A Shorebird Flying Adventure, written by Jackie Kerrin and illustrated by Millie Formby. Looking After Country with Fire, written by Victor Stephenson and illustrated by Sandra Stephenson. And Kind, written and illustrated by Jess McKeechan.
And thank you to Adam for recording that video. And I just have to have my own personal little comment to say I'm so excited to see the Shorebird book in there, because Millie Formby, who illustrated that book, is one of my former students at Melbourne Uni, so that's very exciting. But I think, Alex and Leanne, you would agree with me. I mean, what Adam was saying about the fact that, you know, this is a way to get kids to connect with nature and care about nature. And it really strikes me that, of course, first and foremost, we love kids to be spending lots of time in nature, but that's not always possible for lots of reasons. And particularly, I think, over the last few years, where I live in Melbourne, you know, we had a lot of periods spent in lockdown and we couldn't be out in nature as much. What do you think that, you know, how important is it that we have all of these beautiful books coming out that can help kids feel connected to natural places?
Well, I think it's essential. I think, I mean, you mentioned the period of lockdown, whether it's conditions like that, or for kids who maybe aren't able to easily access places in nature, to be able to escape into a book and to learn through reading, and hopefully at some point be able to, you know, get out into nature in some way, I think is fantastic. I think the reassurance that books can provide, and certainly to call back to that notion of how do we allow kids to grapple with these big challenges that they are going to be facing as they grow up, to make that as manageable and to infuse these stories with a sense of hope as well as inspiration, that there is an enormous amount, enormous reason to still hold, you know, to have hope for the future of our ecology and our place within it.
Absolutely. And Leanne, how important are books about nature for you and for your family and community?
Really important for my family and community. I think with our connection to country and the environment, it's really important that children are aware that the environment is so important. And caring for country is a really important thing for all of us. I love that books can take you on a bit of a journey. So the kids that are reading the books are like going into that world. It's just amazing that books can take the kids to a different place and show them how important that connection to country is.
Absolutely. And Leanne, I have to ask you, what's your strategy going to be for judging? Because I know I've already kind of joked about this, but I'm a little bit jealous that I didn't get to get the big box full of books delivered to my house this year. But equally, I'm not jealous. I'm kind of relieved that the judging isn't up to me, because it does look like an extraordinary wealth of wonderful books. You know, what's your strategy? How are you going to manage this enormous, difficult task?
I've read through them all, and it is really difficult because I love all of the books. I think there's something about each one that's different that I love, so it will be quite challenging. I think I'm just going to have to keep rereading them and just try my hardest, but such an amazing collection of books. I sort of thought I'm honoured to be a judge for this, but now I'm thinking, wow, how will I choose? But I'll just work through it.
Well, at least there could be worse things in life than having to read
Yeah.
beautiful books. Hey?
Oh,
And
definitely.
Alex, have you got a strategy? What's your plan?
Well, I'm grateful that there's a very well thought out list of criteria. Because it could be quite an overwhelming task, as you know, how to choose one over another. So the fact that there's a very very well ordered criteria means that you can order your thoughts about these books. And I think too, as Leanne mentioned, books need to sit with you too. So I think going back and rereading passages of a book or rereading the whole book after some time has passed, I think is helpful to reflect upon something and also to kind of to discover in yourself how that work has sat with you. Has something stuck with you, or was there a particular theme or character, narrative, whatever. But no, I'm enjoying the process so far, and yeah, look, it's a privilege to have been given the opportunity to sit with the work of a group of people who've worked incredibly hard to, as you say, produce a book, and that's that in itself is a difficult task.
Absolutely. Well, I'll just say good luck to you both. And I think that point is a really important one that you both made, that sometimes you just need a bit of time and just to see what sits with you and what stays with you. And I think that's absolutely the power of good storytelling, that we just can't get pieces of yeah, as you say, characters or plot or images out of our heads. So I'm very excited for you both and for the whole judging panel. And I'm so grateful to all of you for taking on this difficult but wonderful role. And of course, if you're listening to us today, we'd love to hear what books you're most excited to read. You've just seen this incredible group of books that's been shortlisted. So please let us know in the comments. Maybe you've already read some of them. Who knows? And just to let you know that the winners for both the Karajia and Environment Award for Children's Literature are going to be announced in Nature Book Week, of course, my favourite week. And this year it runs from the 4th to the 10th of September. And there's going to be events all around the country celebrating nature storytelling. And you can also host your own. So have a look at the link in the comments for more details. If you have an idea about an event you'd love to run in your favourite natural place, or maybe your library, who knows? We'd love more events to happen. And of course, don't forget, if any of these incredible books look like something a young reader in your life would absolutely love to be able to read or listen to, you can order them from Glee Books, where, as I said, 10% of sales are going to be donated back to the Wilderness Society to continue to look after nature and grow a love of nature in our kids, which is just so important. So that brings us to the end of our shortlist announcement. Thank you so much to everybody who's joined us today. We're so pleased that you did, and what a wonderful shortlist to celebrate. Thank you so much, Leanne and Alex, for making the time to be with us today. As I've said, you've got your work cut out for you, so I'm guessing I better let you go and get started. But good luck. Thank you to all of our judges. Congratulations to all of our authors and illustrators and publishers. And I hope everyone has a great day. The sun's shining in Melbourne. I hope it's shining wherever you are. And we can't wait to see you again in Nature Book Week.